Good morning, everyone. If you are joining on YouTube and Facebook, welcome to Thursday morning class. Thank you for joining, and we are going to work, as always, on getting our spine mobilized, remembering that the spine is that important structure through the center of the body, connects the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system. So really making sure we keep that healthy and mobilized, and then we will do a little bit of strength around the spine. I've changed my cameras around, so why is this camera not working? Go, go, go. There we go. So taking your feet about shoulder width apart, a little softness in the knees, and then we'll start with that knocking on the door of life. So just rotating, really paying attention right down at the base of the spine. And where the hip joints connect to the spine, the sacroiliac joint is what it's called. And there is very subtle movement in that joint, very, very subtle. So feel the space right down in the base of the spine. Just ease of movement. It's interesting when you're used to these movements, and particularly when I'm working with groups and like the Zoom group, the BBMers, people that we can see when we're doing this movement. It's really interesting then when I take it to another group of people who I'm just introducing these movements to, and it's fascinating to see maybe how challenging there can be, is how sort of like stiff people might be. And these are young people as well, not necessarily older people, so just really freeing up the ease of movement. And then be aware where the back of the hand, and I'll just whiz around to show you, is just tapping on the lower back. And feel that tapping. Really bring awareness to your lower back area. So yesterday I was in a group of lawyers in the city, and someone had really lower back problems, and she actually stood for an hour just doing these gentle exercises, and she said it had made such a difference from all of the other stuff that she'd been doing, because we were just taking it easy, we weren't forcing anything. And it's really nice to see when people find that improvement, not just from movement, but then from how she felt, because it was like, I can actually move a little bit now. We were just taking it really easy. So think of what's going on as you're just tapping the lower back. You're just bringing the blood flow into that lower back. And then working your way up to mid-back. And then bringing your awareness right, I'm going to whiz around again and just show you, right into the center of the upper back of the thoracic spine. So almost like between the shoulder blades. So just let the shoulder blades soften and relax. Feel a little bit of space through that upper back. And when we're relaxing, it's not everything coming down here, so you still need to keep tall and create space for that rotation. So lengthen up and feel that rotation. Really focus in that middle section of the thoracic spine of the upper back. Also, what is a nice focus when you are thinking of the spine is not just the back of the spine, but think now how at that same place, so if you think of your heart center and then going through almost like the rib cage, think of the front of the spine. It just gives you, it helps to think of lengthening and lifting if you just think of the front of your spine, so behind the breastbone, the sternum. And then the head is just balancing on top of the spine. So there's a little bit of movement side to side, but it's not fixed, it's not rigid. And then we're going to just gradually slow it down. We're going to slow it down into water waves, and it's that idea that there's a little bit of resistance. So it's almost like moving your hands through clouds or through water without disturbing it. So it's really taking it slowly. There's that little bit of resistance. And here is really nice, because we're going really slow, is to really bring into mind the spiral, that whole spiral movement, actually through the whole body. So you can think of the fingers, soft fingers, each of the joints in the fingers and the thumb. So soften the fingers. Soften the wrists. Visualize as you go behind the body how you would rotate the wrist, rotate the fingers to draw the water back. You wouldn't just pull the arm through the water, so really spiral behind the body, nice and slow, smooth. And then the rotation through the elbows. If you're sitting a lot, if you're working at a desk using a mouse, then you might notice a difference between your prominent hand, whether it's your right hand, might feel a little bit more tight. I think I remember saying to you, I was holding my mobile phone with a little finger like that. Suddenly realized when I was doing this particular movement, why is my little finger so tight all of the time? And it's like, yeah, I'm resting my mobile phone on my little finger. Then come up to the shoulders, freeing up the shoulders. Nice. And then slowing it down, and just stand for a moment. You can bring your feet about hip width. Good. Step back out. Let's do a movement heart to sky. So we press the palms together here. And we're working on opening up chest, and again really focusing on this thoracic spine. So we're lifting the heart up to the sky, and then we bring it also then down to the earth. So it's very similar to spinal cord breathing that we're doing, but working a little bit more here just on the thoracic spine. We're not working on the pelvic movement. So the pelvis just stays nice and strong. Palms facing together. You can put a little bit of pressure through the palms there, nice little bit of resistance. Lifting the sternum opening up and then coming back down. And you can almost like, it's like a little bow towards the ground actually. Heart up to the sky. And then down to the ground. It's fascinating because it can look sort of like a very sort of like, oh, it's a religious sort of movement. I'm bowing or something like that, but actually you're working your thoracic spine, you're opening up your chest. It's a very simple, practical movement. And again, the key, as I always say every week, is not to force anything. If anything hurts, you stop the movement. It's not about pushing through pain. There's a difference between really challenging yourself and pushing yourself when you know you're comfortable in that challenge rather than very uncomfortable. It's knowing yourself and knowing how far you can open up and expand, how far you can push yourself without damaging the body. It's that sweet spot of how much is enough that's really improving your movement and improving your health to how much then are you overusing your body, which is actually not good for health, either mentally or physically. Let's go in a nice flow, so breath in, breath out. Breath in, breath out. Follow now your own breath. You don't need to follow me. You don't need to follow anybody else on screen. Couple more. Nice, and then take a rest. So remembering again on that one, the purpose why we're doing that movement is to really open up the chest, get this upper spine mobile, a little bit more mobile. So it's not about lifting the neck. So quite often this, you could be doing this and just lifting the neck, and then it puts a strain on the shoulders. So I'm hardly moving my spine there, I'm just lifting my neck. So I'm just crunching my neck here. Or you might think, oh, I'm looking up, but you're just moving the rib cage as a block, and then it starts compressing the lower back. So you shouldn't feel any compression in the lower back. You should feel lengthening and lifting, and then you're getting that movement here in the thoracic spine. Now, I'm not the perfect example of demonstrating this because I am tight in the thoracic spine, even though I'm doing stuff like this all of the time. So it's not about perfect movement, it's about it's about good movement, but not, you don't have to go like a long way, you don't have to force anything. Good, so now let's do a little bit of Buddha holds up the earth, and again, feel that spine lengthen. And then back down. So if you can sense here how the back muscles work as well. Particularly here, as you're reaching up, does it give you that nice, sort of like strong back? There's muscles running down each side of the spine. And I like that idea. The names are always fun from Qigong, but holding up the earth is going to be a very delicate, heavy object. So you're really taking care of the earth as you're holding it up, hopefully. But also, if you think of the weight, if you were holding something heavy, you couldn't just lift your shoulders up like that. You'd have to really let that sit. So you're using your lower body as well. So think of that weight of the earth as you lift it and hold it up. And it gives you a really nice focus to work on. I don't want to drop it there. The weight. When you get to here as well, how do you then hold up that earth? How do you use maybe your lower body as you're lowering it down? How do you use your lower body as you're lifting it up, particularly there? It's not just about an arm movement, use the whole body. Couple more. Good. So we often focus on resistance training, and we always think we need weights to do resistance training, but you can actually create your own resistance just by the idea of, this is going to be a little bit heavier as I lift it up. So have a little play with that. We don't need to lift heavy weights. You could obviously use, we obviously use weights in an appropriate way, but there's so much you can do in terms of functional movement and the way we need to move in everyday life to help strengthen the muscular chain, the muscle chain systems that run through the body. Palm facing down, again a little bit of resistance down there. Palm facing up, we can have that nice little side bend, and then getting that space here in the side of the ribs. This is a really nice one for that lateral side to side stretch. Little fingers cross in the middle, that little bit of a spiral again. Stretch out that rib cage. A really good coach who I've worked with, as a friend and I've worked with before, Hannah Kirkman, has a nice little cue when we're doing something like this. It's almost like you're squeezing an orange or squeezing a lemon in that opposite side. So you're squeezing there, so it really extends here the side of the ribs. Feel the space between each of the ribs. Again, without forcing. Getting the blood flow in there. And you want to visualize the spine lengthening up. So we're creating the space between each vertebra, and then those vertebrae just lean over on top, on each other. So it's not moving as a whole piece. So the difference if I just move the rib cage as a whole piece is like I'll get there and then I'll just move my rib cage. And I'll get here and I'll just move my rib cage. You want to get that stretch. So you imagine each of those vertebrae, one on top of the other. And it stretches out all the side of the ribs there. Should feel really nice. You can breathe into the ribs. Breathe into the side of the body. Do one more on each side. Good, and take a rest. Give your legs a little shake if you need to. Have a little walk around if you need to walk around a little bit. And then we'll do some work on the hips. So feet shoulder width apart. Big hip circles, keeping the legs straight but not locked. So there's a little bit of softness in the knees, but as you go back there, you get a nice hamstring stretch all down the back of the legs. As you come to the side, as you come to the front, very subtle lift of the chest, so we're not compressing that lower back as the hips come forward. Nice, bigger circles as you can. Lift, hips a little bit forwards. Always feels good, this one too. Spine stays long. Just watch that you're not hanging the head. This can happen. We can start to hang the head there a little bit. Keep that spine long, even though we got that slight tilt forwards. Keep that back strong. And then when you're ready, we'll go in the other direction. Big circles. Breathing easy. And take a rest. Let's see who remembers from a while back, actually, maybe not that too long ago, the spiral with the hips. So you're putting one hand on, if I'm mirroring you, on your right hip. You're holding, imagine you're holding a teacup on the top of your palm there. The hips lead the movement. So we go to the right, and then as we go back, palm goes back, palm is facing upwards here. As we come to the left, palm is facing upwards there. And then we're coming overhead. You need to bring your hips forwards, open up the chest here to come overhead, and then back to the start. See if we can get that spiraling, flowing movement. This is often the tricky bit. Lift the chest, bring the hips forwards so you can go overhead. Hips are leading the movement, upper body is following. Nice and smooth movements. Breathing easy, again not forcing anything. Spiraling. Checking out the spirals in nature. And we'll do one more and then we'll swap sides. Finding your own comfortable flow. And then swapping sides. Palm out, hips start the movement. Maybe one side feels a little bit freer than the other. Maybe they both feel pretty equal. We're all going to be different. So if you imagine you've got a teacup, you cannot drop that tea, you cannot spill the tea. Let's do one more. And then take a rest. Good. Have a little shake out. I want to finish on the full body flow, but I really want to emphasize, go to your own very comfortable range of motion on this, because it's quite a big movement. So we just got to be very aware of any back issues, any hip issues or anything. So just, you don't have to follow the whole movement I'm doing. I'm not perfect at this movement. I'm not this amazingly flexible person. So please don't feel you have to follow me, or if you can flow better than me, that's absolutely perfect. But the idea is we're stretching out the front line of the body, and then we're stretching out the back line of the body. So we're doing this whole flow movement. And again, we'll be moving downwards and upwards. So if you start to feel a little bit lightheaded, if you've got any blood pressure issues, then please do stop this movement. It's not about forcing. So you're just holding one wrist. Pick a wrist, whatever wrist you want to pick a wrist. We start off by lengthening upwards and stretching out again the front of the body. Remembering, if we're doing bend backwards like a banana backwards, you're opening up the chest here. I'm not just crunching my lower back, so I'm opening up the chest there. See if I can show you from the side without taking the plant out. And then we're going to hinge from the hips forwards. Maybe I'll show you first and then you follow. So the knees are not locked, but I'm getting a long spine there. Now I can't go tabletop flat any further than that. So that's my limit there. And then I roll down, still keeping those knees soft. And then you get in a nice stretch through the back of the legs, letting the head hang. And then you're going to go into a squat position. So you come down so that then you can push up through the ground. And then come back into your banana. But again, just take it really easy. So let's just do a couple of those nice and long here. Just realized it's 8:30, so I won't keep you too much longer. Coming down, hinging at the hips. So keep that long spine. And then let the spine roll gently, keeping the legs long. And then bending the knees into almost like the bottom of the tiger position, pushing through the ground, coming up, lengthening the front of the body, hinging forwards, rolling down, and really using your legs to push up. Let's do one more. Hinge. Roll down. Good. And then just give yourself a little bit of a shake. And we will finish there. Thank you. A little bit of movement, a little bit of spine movement, getting the blood flowing. Hope that set you up for your day ahead. Just chatting to the guys on Zoom just before we started. Last December, we did a mindful moment challenge every day in December, outside, 10 minutes, doing whatever you like. It could be gardening, it could be sitting reading, it could be going for a run, it could be going for a walk, it could be doing some meditation, it could be doing some breath work, it could be doing some full body flow. Just whatever you like, just set yourself 10 minutes every morning to get outside. And if you want to post photos on the AIM Challenges Facebook page, I'll put the link under here if you don't have a link to that page. But that's just a nice little challenge to set us up for Christmas, but also give us that time out, because it's usually a very hectic month, lots of things going on. It's very important to give yourself time just to step away from a lot of the stuff that's going on. It's not selfish, it's important, it's very good for the nourishment of yourself. So 10-minute mindful moment every day in December. And then in January, I'll be kicking off January again with one of our 5-day Qigong challenges, which was really popular last year. And we've got some other things, exciting things coming up in January. We've got a heart rate variability course that has been launched, but I'll keep you up to date, obviously, with all of that stuff as we move through December. So happy 1st of December, everybody. Let's hope for a good month, and I will see you on Tuesday. Yes, it's Thursday. So have a great rest of the day. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
And you.